1340 96.5 KVGC on the phone. Douglas Viviani of Everything Old is New Again. Tonight, he and David Cohen host that show that takes a look back at, well, I don't know if it takes a look back, but would you say it takes a look back, Douglas, or just takes a look at?
How about it's a nostalgic look to the future? Does that make any sense?
Oh, I'm gonna start using that down.
That's a good one, right?
Yeah. Okay.
We have there's a cloud.
There we go.
Over everything of looking at the past and seeing what's up with the past and not giving it a nod. Sometimes diving into it a lot, but lots of times just kind of giving it a nod and then looking at the present day.
Do you believe in Nostradamus?
Yes. How about that?
I think so. Yeah.
He was some prognosticator. He came up with if you read all this correctly, he came up with a lot of things that when Edgar Casey came out with a lot of things too.
Yes, yeah. My wife actually all the time that Nostradamus and I have a lot in common. She always claims that I'm one of the greatest procrastinators that there are, and yeah. She also says I'm
not a prognosticator.
What? Wait. She always
prognosticator versus procrastinator.
Now I'm starting to wonder because she says I'm psycho, and I always thought that meant I could read people's minds.
Yeah, this is definitely an SAT word, Tom.
I better look into that. So anyway.
This weekend is an interesting weekend. Talk about that.
Well, this weekend, you and David have missed it again. Calaveras County Fair and Jumping Frog Jubilee. Rain or shine. Started on Thursday. New Miss Calaveras was crowned, rolled through Friday, Saturday today, and then tomorrow the world record frog jumping. I don't think anybody will break the record this year because it's not good frog jumping weather.
I looked at it. It's going to be like 55 and overcast and some little rain, huh?
Yeah, that's not good frog jump weather.
It's how about the spectators? Is it a good weather for spectators? More or less people come out in that weather.
This isn't an unusual thing. It's rained before for the frog jump, so it's not like it's people. Oh no, it's raining. It can't go on. So
wouldn't the frogs like it?
Well, I think the frogs would like it. This is good frog weather, but it's not good frog jumping weather because you want the pad to be hot. So when you put the frog down, boom, ooh, it doesn't get burned, but they fall asleep. They hibernate in cool weather.
Right.
So you want them warm and alive and ready to go.
To grab their attention. So no records.
I'm going to say no records will be set tomorrow. No.
All right, we'll see about that. That's a lot of fun. That was maybe one of our first conversations was about that, and that was those I think 5 years ago.
And you and David were going to come out for it, and still haven't.
Still have not done it. We still have not conquered the country yet. We've got to get more people to this show.
5 years ago?
We've been on the air for, I'll say 4 years ago then, because
I'm not questioning you.
Yeah, I think it's 4 years.
I'm telling you, time flies. Like my son Joe graduated last weekend from college. 4 years.
Man.
It seemed like it just went boom. Like it flew. Seriously. I mean, I can remember having a conversation with him, and he'll probably shoot me if he hears me talking about this. But I would assume almost every freshman has this. It was about the second or third week in schools in September, and he was just convinced that no one was going to like him, that he just wasn't fitting in. He didn't want to come home. He wanted to transfer and go to a college where his friends were and this and that. And, Teresa and I talked him down. And I remember saying, well, why don't you just take a walk around? Why don't you go see what everybody else is doing tonight and check things out? And, as you know, he ended up being crowned homecoming king this year at UOP.
So he took a lot of walks around.
Yeah. So, it's just, but I guess what I'm saying, I digress here, it just went fast. It just went so fast.
Well, the other thing is just about college for a second. I remember that, too, because in high school, even though my high school class was about 600, which I think is pretty large, but still, you're a big fish in a little pond. And then you go to college, and magnetism and all that fun and the familiarity and of where you are and who you are is gone, and then you meet people with lots of varied backgrounds, and sort of you're into a little bit of maybe a diversity culture shock or something, and in a good way, but you just your eyes are open to so many other ideas and cultures and things that it just it really sets you back, because you're no longer the king of the the king of the school,
Douglas, did you go to school in California, or did you just come to California for a while?
I came to school after law school, before I was admitted to New York and California. After I took the bar exam, you got to wait like 6 months for the results. And we had a family friend that had a great position for me to work out there in San Francisco and L.A. So that's what I did then. But college, I went to Providence, which was three states up, Rhode Island from New York, and it just was New England, and it's totally different than New York. And so it really was. Matter of fact, I have a 35-year reunion coming up in 2 weeks. Believe it or not.
Are you going?
I'm definitely going. Going to see the gang, see what it's all about. Kept in touch with. Now that's a good question. Is how many people do you keep in touch with through the years and from college? Because geographically, usually they're not in the same area anymore. So, but in this day and age, it's easier than ever to keep in touch. I've kept in touch with. I'm going to say probably about 8 people, 7 or 8. How about you?
I would say 1, 2, maybe 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it's tough. And I know that I'm going to go back and I'm going to need the name tags, because I am not going to recognize or know the names of a majority of the people there.
I'm just trying to think. I'm people that I was close. I was close with a group of about 4 or 5 people. And 3 of us still are in contact. Two of those were husband and wife and have since divorced.
Right.
But there's a third one. So yeah, it's interesting. You know what I think is more than interesting than that is I run into people. I don't physically run into them, but I'll come across, let's say, Kathy Schmoot. Okay, Kathy Schmoot. Who in the heck is Kathy Schmoot? Doesn't even remotely look familiar. But then it's Kathy Viviani Schmoot. Oh, I went to college with her. Kathy, what are you doing?
The last name thing, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Then you begin. But a lot of women now have been putting their maiden name and their married name or what have you, or will have their maiden name in parentheses after their married name.
Right.
And I've reconnected. Have never met up with them but I've with a number of my friends from college on Facebook, which I think is kind of interesting because you share stories of your children, your grandchildren, what are you doing,
Yeah, it's nice. The pictures and all of this. The world's a lot smaller than it used to be.
Most of my friends are all rich and are retired, and I'm still poor and
all
working.
My friends have kids graduating college these days. And I got Angelica going to be in a play at 10 years old this weekend, Beauty and the Beast. So
Beauty and the Beast. What is she playing, Belle?
She's playing Cogsworth, the clock.
Yes.
And she has, believe it or not that that's the most important thing in the world, but I'm just saying this for perspective, for a 10-year-old, 53 lines. So, I don't know that I could do that now, 53 lines. And I didn't realize Cogsworth had that many lines to begin with, but there she is. They're going to be the clock tomorrow, Sunday, at 1 o'clock. It's going to be a kick. And so it's a nice weekend. Last weekend you had the celebration of college. Mm-hmm. I've got the celebration of Angelica in a play. So it's almost an early Father's Day. It's nice. Any advice, though, for a lovelorn, that's not the right word, but a dad that's going to be upcoming with 2 colleges coming up in the next, let's say, 10 years, and besides planning for it financially, what about emotionally, and what's the plan for the kid?
Do you have a financial advisor?
Yes.
Okay. Are you planning for your children's college?
As best I possibly can, yes.
Or do you plan for them to go there on a academic or on a college scholarship? Or
I would hope so, but that's certainly not the plan.
Okay. I tell you what, there's a group, you may have heard of them, that you pay and they will take your SATs for you or will falsify. What do you think about we'll get back to that.
I think it's ridiculous because you
Because I want to tell you something on this. Go ahead. You give me your feeling, and I'm going to tell you what my son told me last night when I ran this question.
All right, I have two thoughts, two branches. The first branch is that I think that in America now we have gone college crazy. And you're talking to a person, everyone in my family's gone to college and even professional school, so I'm not down on it that way. But I'm down on it in that there are some people that college is not necessarily for them. Trades, the people that I know that are most financially successful, that are doing very well and well-balanced and all, are the tradespeople that come in, the plumber, the electrician. I think it's wonderful to get involved if you have that capability to get involved with the trades. And I think that we have, over the last, let's say, 20, 30 years, kind of lost sight of that and poo-pooed that. And everyone in the world has to go to college. And that attitude, and that looking down, at other people like that don't, so to speak, is something that I think is really lost. We've lost our way that way. And the second thing is, so now everyone in the world goes to college, so it's almost like high school now. Like it's a prerequisite, and we're seeing a $300,000 or $400,000 bill for this. And I've got my niece graduating from Villanova this weekend. What is she graduating with? An English master and an Italian minor, and that's great and everything. She gets out, and I ask, well, what are you going to do? Well, what class did you take? Well, she didn't take English, like learning about syntax and grammar and so forth. She took, I'm making it up, I don't know the exact names.
Right.
These odd names of, English in the Middle Ages, focusing on women who were beheaded. You know what I mean? Like it's so specific and an odd kind of a course. It's not learning the basics. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I think it's wonderful to go to college. I have no problem with it. My problem is it's not for everybody, number one. And number two, once you get to college, I should say the day after you graduate college, it's what you learned at college that's important, not always where you went. And I think people find a place that they're comfortable with, and that's great. You don't have to aspire to go to the school of schools, and pay all this money to have your child who's going to then be not going to the classes, and you spent $500,000 on them getting into a school. If you don't earn it, I guess a better way to say it is if you don't earn it, it's not worthwhile.
I feel that one of the reasons you go to college is to prove to your future employer you can stick with something for 4 years.
Sure.
And as boring as whatever it may be, you can do the task. And that's what it is. And I can remember riding in a car with my mother and going past, some people working and, digging a ditch, and her saying, "Hey, you got to go to college or you'll end up like this." "Oh, yeah, Mom, I will. I'll go to college. I'll end up, the guys digging the ditches are retired and are a lot more richer than I am right now.
With pensions.
Yes, exactly.
Right. So why did everybody poo-poo these people? You know what I mean? I think it's turning around.
I had a chance right out of high school almost, actually, to quit college my second year and go to work for the state of California as a tradesman, as a carpenter. And no, I'm not going to do it. Now I think, what the hell was I thinking? What was I thinking? But anyway.
A buddy of mine had a job in the corporate world, and I think probably was in his 30s, early 30s. His mom was passing away on a deathbed, and his mom said to him, Ken, are you really, happy doing, we see with the beer distributor and all this, are you really happy doing this, going bar to bar and just, ensuring that these bars are selling Coors Light, or what do you want to do with your life? And he said, well, I really would like to teach, but I'm too old to do this, it's too much. Mother said to him, no, go for it. Go for your master's. The time's going to go by anyway. Go for it. He became a teacher, I'm going to say around, early 30s. He's financially secure. He knows the paycheck's coming. He's got his weekends free. He's got his summers free. And he's tremendously happy. And it's exactly what his calling was. It's what he wanted to do. And I think, I don't know, this generation or whatever, but in my world it was, get a profession. It doesn't matter what you like, you don't like. You do something that's going to, make you money. And that really, to me, was not the way to go. I mean, there is an element to that, but you got to do what you love. Otherwise, what are you doing?
I grew up, and you did too, in the generation where our parents wanted us to do better than them. Right. Okay, my dad is a World War II vet, Korean War vet, did not go to college, but did very well, successful in the business world, and and they always wanted more for my brother and I, and right. We want more for our kids, and we want them. But I'm very happy to see that there's a movement around now going throughout the country, and if you check it on Facebook again, of people saying, hey, you know what, let's put the brakes on this college thing, because I personally keep telling people, hey, in the next 20 years, you know who the new millionaires, you know who the new money's going to be? Is the guy that's coming to plunge your toilet, or the guy that's going to repair your roof, or the guy that makes your air conditioner work, because you know what, they're not teaching that anymore in school.
I got the air conditioner guy come over here. He actually does the heating as well. He was here last winter, and I just talked to him about this. He's running the business. He's running himself ragged. He's till 12 o'clock at night working all the time.
Yeah.
Because he cannot find qualified people to hire and train to be in his business. So he's making money hand over fist, but it's a shame because he can't even pass his profession on.
Right.
It may be changing, but yeah, I agree with you 100%. First of all, there's no not everyone has a debt, but there's no huge debt walking out of college or walking out of trade school when you begin. So you're not digging out of a hole for the next 10 years to begin with.
So let me run this back because we're running out of time. So back to what Joey told me last night. So we were sitting around the house, and he's home now. He's moved back home till he goes to Memphis next month. And I said, so what do you think about this college, scandal? He goes, doesn't bother me one bit. I said, what? He goes, I'll tell you why, Dad. Those were not the kids that were running up the curve that I was graded on.
Right.
That's exactly what he said. He goes, those were not the people I had to worry about. I'm like, okay, I guess so. Hey, what's up with this week's show?
Well, just like we've got the PGA Championship here in Bethpage, right 10 miles from my house, the golf championship, we're going to turn a little bit towards sports this week. And David and I, a little bit late, but it's still early in the baseball season, are going to take a look at the baseball season, preview, division by division, and who's going to win what, and who's going to be in the playoffs, and who's going to win who's going to get into the World Series, and who's going to win the World Series. So we're going to do some prognostications ourselves, talking about Nostradamus. But if we're right, we're going to feature our predictions at the end of the year baseball season. And of course, if you're wrong, you'll find this. You may not even find this episode on our on our docket anytime in the future. So
have you ever done this before?
We've never done it before, and I've actually never actually done it. You being a baseball fan, you have certain ideas and whatever, but think about it. Did you ever write down who do you think is going to win all the divisions and how is it going to go? We've never done that. The only time I've ever done that is with horse racing. So I think it should be kind of fun. Anyone except the Yankees and the Dodgers. And the probability of being the Yankees and the Dodgers, I'm not saying it's 100%, but, they're up there. Look pretty good. I know, they're up there. So, Douglas Viviani and David Cohn tonight at 6 o'clock, tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Everything old is new again. What was that tagline we're going to use now again? A nostalgic look to the future. A nostalgic look to the future. Hey, you tell Angelica to break a leg from all of us here in California tomorrow, and that's actually good. That's actually good, Douglas. That's not bad. I will. She's going to love it, and I'll take some video. Maybe we'll play a little. Put it on Facebook Live. See if you can put a little bit on there. So. Oh, that's a good idea. Yes, I will do that. Because Cogsworth is actually the clock is a very integral part, kind of the ringleader sort of this. Yes, and some comic relief too, which I've tried to teach us some of the timing of it. We'll see if it works. Great. All right, Douglas, have a great show tonight, and again, break a leg, Angelica. All right, look for us on Sunday on Facebook Live.